Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me on Ask Hogger, where you ask the questions and I answer the questions. It's that simple. I don't know why I have to keep explaining it. It's episode 3, people. You should know it by now. By episode 3 of that one show, all the little Ewok guys were shooting people, and there was robots, and then there was the Death Star, and then Sylvester Stallone arm wrestled Tom Selleck, and they won the moon. Dadgum, I forgot to say spoiler alert. Let's just get into the questions. Now the first question comes from Twitter, and it comes from Brick, and he asks, what is your favorite mount besides Felicia Day's leg? Now, Brick, I know this there that you said Felicia Day's leg, which either you don't know she has 2 legs, or you just assume that I'm going to choose something besides her other leg. Because I'm partial to the left leg, but if I had to choose and it was in a pinch, I would definitely choose the right leg. Because I don't discriminate really against legs. I just like the mounting possibilities of the left leg. So that's going to answer your question there. But I'll also, for the sake of answering it, I guess you were talking maybe that neither leg was in play here. Then I would probably just choose my motorcycle. Or as I like to call it, Dodger. So thank you, Brick, for that wonderful question. And I hope that cleared a lot of things up. Now my next question comes from Twitter again. And it's from Matt Helms. And he asks, Dear Hogger, do you ever go up to Borean Tundra? Now, Matt, I'm glad you asked that question, because that's the reason I've been gone for so long. I just took a trip to Borean Tundra, and I took lots of pictures. Let's check them out. Well, first and foremost, it was a beautiful day when I arrived at the airport. It was a beautiful area that we landed. The weather was beautiful. There was no delays. And then the only problem was the entire airport was full of gnomes. That was pretty terrible. They smell, and they're tiny, and they bother me because they talk down to everybody because they think they're smart with their engineering know-how. But don't get me started on that rant. The next thing I did was I found lodging in the Tuskar village, where there was a lot of the Tuskar there showing me all these cool techniques of cookery, and I loved to eat their delicious food. It was tasty. Also, this guy right here tried to tell me I was going to get diabetes. And I don't really care too much for diabetes, or his mustache for that matter, so he was pretty stupid. After a wonderful dinner at the Tuskar village, I started out on my journey, and I went to see some ruins, which were pretty ruined by the looks of them, as you can tell here. And I don't really know why I looked at those for so long, but they were definitely ruined. Next, I went down to the hot springs, where I volunteered my time to wash the oil-covered animals. Because if you're going to eat the oil-covered animals, you first have to wash the oil off from them to eat them. That's just rule number 1, people. After volunteering for so long, I decided to kick back and rented a helicopter to fly around and get a good view of all the wonderful things there were to see. And I saw absolutely nothing wonderful to see. I did notice that they had a frozen lake, and I'm extremely good at ice skating. But as you can see by the next slide, I'm even better at drowning. So I didn't really do a lot of ice skating. It was kind of cold after that. After drying off, I climbed to the top of a mountain, and I gazed out over the majesty of the wonderful Borean Tundra. I even got to see the northern light. It was so majestic, and I would have been able to enjoy it more if I wasn't chased off by ghost Vikings that wanted to touch my butt. And that was my trip to Borean Tundra. And if I had to do it again, I wouldn't. Because I have deemed it boring tundra. Because it is, in fact, extremely boring. I had a terrible time. It was really cold. And I almost had my fanny pinched by a paranormal pervert. I would have to say never go there ever, Matt. And I hope you learned something from my mistakes. So thank you for that wonderful question. We've reached the end of this episode of Ask Hogger. If you have any questions or comments, please ask them in the comments below or on Twitter at Ask Hogger. All the links will be in the description. Speaking of questions, I would like to ask you a question. Where in Northland would you go vacation? Because I dang sure don't want to go back to Borean Tundra. You guys take care, and as always, yow!